He tied them up like dolls, then watched them die.
He smiled at the courtroom, just the way he smiled at his victims.
She said she had no regrets. They hurt her, so she made them pay.
He claimed Satan spoke to him, and people still wrote love letters to him in prison.
These aren't myths, they're real. They walked amongst us.
And today, we pull back the veil. This is the Mann podcast, and you're listening to The Shadows Within.
If this is your first time here, welcome. Please make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, because tonight we go into the dark.
Hey, baby.
Hi.
Of the four serial killers we wanted to speak about, right? I know the least about Aileen Wuornos. Aileen Wuornos? Alien Wuornos?
Alien? Aileen. See, I also don't know like great deal of her, like maybe the other ones that we mentioned. What I do know is technically she's classified as the first female ever serial killer. Like mostly is all predominantly male.
Right.
So what I know pretty much about her is mostly from the movie that was done.
Monster.
Yeah.
Right.
About her. So she was sex worker. Don't really know about her history or her childhood. I mean,
Brilliantly
given-
played by Charlize Theron, by the way. Charlize.
Theron.
I'm very bad with names. We have established that.
And
Since
that
the last
and then
episode.
I'm the linguist in this household. I mean,
Charlize Theron.
obviously, given the line of work that she was doing, most probably it's not a great background that she was coming from.
Right.
But her situation, I don't feel she was someone who was, let's say, born to be a killer. I think her becoming one is pure circumstantial. That it all started with one of the customers that she had taken her to a secluded location. They made an agreement about the arrangement that they're gonna do, and
Right.
then he completely took it to another way where he essentially assaulted her. Now she, as many other women working this line of work, was carrying actually I'm not sure if she was carrying or she found it in his car, the weapon.
Well, I'm trying to remember from the movie. I think
I
he
think she was,
stumbled upon something in the car itself.
I could be.
Yes.
That she basically kills him in self-defense. This
Right.
can blatantly be characterized as self-defense.
Right.
But instead of taking it to the police and let's say, claiming her case, again, could be that she didn't want to do it because she thought she wouldn't be believed. Again, she's a sex worker. These types of cases in US is very difficult to prove, and you're pretty much disregarded if this is the background that you have. So she was like, okay, she's gonna, just leave him there and basically take his money.
Right.
And I think that sort of gave her this weird sense of empowerment, that this is how she claims control. Because when you think about, again, the line of work that she's doing is she's providing a service to someone where this someone else is in full control. This is what I want you to do. This is how you're going to do it. And this is how much I'm going to give you for it. So for her, it's like taking that control back and claiming it and saying, no, we're doing it my way, which is essentially me killing you. So she would sort of not lure them, but again, she's working, she finds a customer, and then she takes him to a secluded place. But I remember her also kind of, I think in her way to justify it in her head, I think she was sort of, in a way, taunting them to become aggressive towards her, because then now he's gonna do what this guy
Right.
did before. So
Yes.
again, I am defending myself.
Right.
I am in full right to do this.
To kill these people. Yes.
People, and as punishment, you take their money, and this is what she ended up doing. So
So what started as a self-defense actually then became her modus operandi, right?
pretty much.
Right.
But if you look at the textbook classification of a serial killer, I wouldn't really disagree that she falls under one. Besides the checkbox that she gives, that it's multiple killings over a period of time and la 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 la.
But it becomes a serial killer case, right? Because then she started finding power out of these killings, right? These killings where she, in her mind, made it a situation where she's the victim and she's defending herself. So she's taking power from these men by showing them that they have zero power over her and that she can pretty much kill them.
Yeah.
Again, in her brain, she has made a story of victimhood where she's thinking, now I have an opportunity to do good for all the wrong that has happened in my life. Right? And I think, not sure, you correct me, I think in her childhood as well, she was, either beaten or battered by men throughout her life. And that's where all of this came from, right? It's also, I think it's a way of taking, there's an element of self-worth, I feel, self-worth which was lost, and trying to find that by doing these acts, by killing random men. There's an element of women empowerment in this as well, I feel. At least that's how it was portrayed in the movie. She's trying to fight in her own twisted way against patriarchy, right? And trying to solve ages of wrong that has happened against women. And like I said, if you start finding, empowerment through these actions, you will keep on doing it because it gives you a kick every single time you do something that gives you that boost. And that's why I feel like it is a case of serial killings.
But for her, I think it's also all of that you mentioned, but it's also that point of survival, because she was stealing money out of them. And then
Yes,
in the
that is
movie,
true.
I don't know if it's true or maybe they just added it for the fictional aspect, is that she does try at some point to get a regular job.
Yeah.
So the other aspect of her, I mean, besides getting a kick out of it and this sense of empowerment, is that I think she kind of also saw it as a different version of her job, because she was getting money out of them. She was still stealing that money to live off of.
Right.
In the movie, I don't know if they do it I don't know if they added it just for the fictional part of it or if it actually happened, but she tries to get a regular job and she's unable to, because again, she has no references. Her appearance, you can already tell that she's in this line of business, so she gets rejected. So
Right.
I think it's also sort of a FU to the society. Okay, you don't want to hire me. I tried, cleaning up and coming to an interview and, look presentable and do this. So you reject me that, you kick me down, you do this, you do that. So then after that, she's really, I think that's the breaking point where up to that point, it was sort of a necessity, let's say, and a way to get by. And she wanted to stop and get out of it. But then when she got that last kick to the ground is when she said, okay, let's just go crazy after this. And that's when she progressively started, I think even targeting them more and picking who she wants and, who is the most deserving of this. Because I think there's one guy that she actually lets go.
Right.
Doesn't even go that far because he's like first time, it wasn't something that he does on a regular basis, hiring a prostitute. So I think she senses and she's just like, okay, just give me the money and leave, like go off.
It's interesting that you say this. There is a social justice aspect to the whole thing as well, right?
I think so, because I think also, I know there were interviews done with her
Right.
once she was arrested and
Yeah.
sentenced. I don't think there's a remorse from her, because I feel as if it's her saying, well, you guys didn't punish all those men who wronged me, so I punished them, even though there might not be the exact same person who did something to her before. But I think in her mind, everyone is the same. And that I wouldn't be surprised if she actually even sees the same face on all of them. So she said, well, you were not there to protect me and to support me and punish them. So I'm just going to do it because
Take care of it myself.
Yeah. So I really feel like to a degree, she feels that she hasn't done anything wrong.
But the next one that I want to talk about, there is no freaking doubt that this guy was menacing. An absolute crazy person. Mr. Theodore Bundy.
I think you can even call him a modern day, even though it was, I think, 70s,
70s,
right?
yes.
Jack the Ripper.
Oh, yeah. And there's a word that was used very frequently when describing his acts by the judges in the court. Vile. And they were very vile.
Yeah, some of the things he
Vile
would do.
acts. There's an element of sadism. There's an element of trying to possess these women, right? Through very, very vile acts.
Very animalistic
Very,
to a level.
very animalistic. Like there were instances where this man would bite women multiple times. He escaped. So he escaped Utah, right? Where he was getting prosecuted, and he runs off to Florida. Guess what he does? The first thing that he does when he reaches Florida, of course, first he changes his identity, right? Forges his identity with someone else's driver's license ID. The first thing that he does, he goes into a girls' hostel, right? And in one night, assaults at least 3. As if it's like you said, an animal that is hungry. It is absolutely bizarre, this situation. They don't even know the number of girls he actually killed, right? And charming man, good looking, talks well, can really pretend to be intellectual, right? Although he wasn't. And talking about his early life, he's not from a background where you would think that, oh, circumstances, right? Poor child, he grew up in a bad neighborhood or whatever. And then, grew up to become this absolutely madman. Perfectly sane mother, perfectly sane father, had an amazing childhood growing up. And then he becomes this. Although I have to say, when he was born,
Okay.
his mother was in a place where, single mothers give birth,
Okay.
because his father left them as soon as she got pregnant.
I mean, I think US had these types of things because in the 60s and 70s it was basically sort of shameful if you get pregnant and your
Right.
partner is not there. So yeah, I think there were like not really monasteries, but something,
Some kind of institute.
and I think there were nuns
Right.
running these things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she gave birth to Ted while she was there. And then got married to his father, which is documented.
So he does come back.
No. She marries another guy.
Oh, so it's a stepdad.
Yeah,
Okay.
stepdad who raised him.
Just I didn't know.
Yeah, I came to know about this when I was reading about his early life. Another thing. So the reason why she gave birth to Ted is because her father forced her to give birth, to not abort the child. His grandfather.
That could have been religious.
His grandfather was a very hard man. He had violence in his life. They say he was a racist, a xenophobe, right? And he used to be very violent towards his own wife, so Ted's grandmother. And he did not, so the grandfather did not allow Ted's mother to abort Ted. Hence, she had Ted in that institute, and then eventually got married to another guy. And there could be an argument that Ted's nature is partly because of the father, the biological father, and also because of the influence from his grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Seeing violence in your own family and treatment of women in a certain way would make you like that. But there's also an element of him getting into pornography
Okay.
at a very early age, and then not getting satisfied with whatever he was seeing and constantly progressing into those images, those fantasies, where it eventually he would get into BDSM. I'm not saying that everyone who's in BDSM becomes that, but when you mix nature and stuff like this in your life, it's a dangerous mix. And that's what you see in his life. He used to, use pantyhose to strangulate these women, beat them, he would perform sexual acts, even when these girls have passed away for days, right? Absolutely animalistic.
I think he's the personification of what you would call, what was it, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, or whatever the name is.
Oh yeah.
Because see, you said the biggest impression on you was the fact that he was like going to the extent of biting them. For me, what left the biggest impression was the fact that one of the victims, like you said, he was using pantyhose to strangle them.
Yes.
But the amount of force that he used on one of them is that literally with the pantyhose, we all know what the material is like. Like it's not really that, it's not a rope, it's not a thick material or something. Yeah, you can strangle someone with it, but the fact that he was actually even able to break their necks Like, I keep going to that and thinking, like, what level of strength
Or absolute
or
rage.
anger or rage you need to get to that level? And I kind of, it kind of then brings me over to the movie Split. Like, when towards the end of the movie he
Yes.
starts metamorphosing into this higher being, and he gets this crazy strength and he's climbing walls, and this, it's almost like Ted also was turning into some complete different persona or something. But you can also, especially when he goes into the court and he decides to represent himself, and his, first of all, you can see that he's a narcissist.
Absolute narcissist.
That's a given.
Yeah. Biggest.
But then he has this level of diabolical way of thinking, because on the outside in society, he like purposely would go to the extent to make himself look like a presentable person, a great member of the society, a guy that every father would want to have as a son-in-law. And he was having a relationship. And then I think also it's sickening to the level that I think he pinpoints, I honestly forgot her name, but a single mother, who
Elizabeth.
has a daughter.
Because you have this man who can love a woman that has that is a single mother, that has a child. I think relating to his mother in that case, then he has this sense of achieving some kind of status in the society, right? Because there was this period in his life where he was trying to go to law school. He couldn't. He pursued something else in the University of Washington, met this great woman who was, well, rich, upper middle class, had a nice car that stood out for him. She drives a nice car, right? But eventually he could not get her in his life. And that sense of insecurity of being somewhere lower to her also triggered these bouts of rage when he used to, like the documentary when we watched said, when he used to just kidnap these women to possess them. That's another personality. And then there's an aspect of absolute rage and violence, insecurity, thinking that he's someone, but he's actually not that person. Constantly in his tapes, he kept saying that I was good at this, I was good at that, and this, that, the other. But when you actually see his early life, he was not good at anything. Very average child, not good at sports, did not mingle with his peers when he was a kid, etc., etc. Right? You can say he was the first incel, if you have to. And there's this term that really stood out for me when he was talking about women, because he was not talking about women as human beings. He would talk about women as like objects. There's this line in his tapes. He said, I liked women, but I didn't know what to do with them. Absolutely mind-blowing. And the first opportunity that he gets to escape from prison, the first real opportunity, he tried to escape, went to a cabin, but was caught and brought back, this, that, the other. But the next time he did, he goes to Florida, and the first thing that he does is what? Kill more women. Like, he couldn't help it. It was a itch that he had to scratch. Yeah. And you think this was wild? And talking about, having a normal life and then living this double life, we have Dennis Rader, Mr. BTK himself. He was another, a church president, right? He was leading Boy Scouts, normal family, absolutely normal work. Nothing to suggest that this guy would actually bind, torture, and kill innocent people. Between 1974, if I'm not wrong, to 1994, he killed 10 people, and he would write. So his power trip was writing notes to the police,
Like taunting them.
taunting them.
But what would he write?
I didn't go into the details of that, but writing notes to police saying, "Hey, I have killed this person, and this is how I've killed it. Catch me."
So something like Zodiac used to do.
Exactly.
Except Zodiac was smart. He never actually got caught.
Yeah. And how does this guy get caught? In 2004, he sends a floppy disk to the police to taunt them. Like, he was okay. So his recorded killings is between 74 to 94, right? Between those 20 years. And then the trail goes cold, right? They're not able, the police is either not able to trace him, or there were no more killings, etc. But in 2004, he sends a floppy disk to the police, again taunting them, saying, "You never able to catch me in this, that, the other." And the police was able to trace that floppy disk to the church that he was working at. Absolute genius. Oh, freaking hell.
Note this out. Take computer lessons.
Rapes someone at one point, kills someone at one point, kills an elderly person at some point, does a burglary at some point, right? That kind of person is very, very hard to track.
Yeah, one-time offenders, yes.
Mr. Richard Ramirez was that person.
I
Very,
mean-
very freaking random.
That is...
Okay, if we call Ted Bundy vile, I think we should call Richard Ramirez vile plus
Wild on steroids.
on steroids. He would just go random. And I mean, given that time in California, security wasn't that great, especially for, people who are either living on rent or elderly people and this, that, the other. He would just, try to find either an unlocked door or a window and try to get into their houses to do the most heinous of crimes,
I
right?
don't think that's because security was bad. I think it's because it was a time when the people were like
More chill.
more chill and trustworthy. Like stuff like this was not happening.
Correct.
But what makes him so different than the others is, again, usually your serial killers have modus operandi, or they have specific type of victims that they go for, or like periods between two murders. Like for him, it was like a loose screw and let's go and party and do whatever. And he would go from men, women, couples, old, young, white, Asian, up to the point that even the stuff that he would do with kids, like, that's the weirdest thing.
Again, there is an element of a certain kind of childhood abuse in his life as well. He was exposed to drugs and violence at a very young age, and that progressed into whatever he became. If I have to, when I think about Richard Ramirez, the only one word that comes to my mind, and of course he used to pray to him, is Satan. Absolute evil. Absolute evil. What he did to that child at 6 years old.
There were more children. She was just the one who
The one who
actually
came forward. Yeah.
told her story.
I get this very strong urge of ripping that man apart just for what he did to that child. And apart from that, of course, very, as if this was his, normal people will get up Monday morning, any given weekday, go to work 9 to 5, come back home, etc., etc. This was his 9 to 5, felt like. His 9 to 5 was going in the streets, trying to find an easy target to assault, to rob, and to kill. And his way of killing was not specific, right?
Again, yeah.
He
had
would
no
beat to kill.
He had no
He would
modus
stomp to
operandi.
kill. Yeah, he would shoot to kill. Any way to get a person murdered. And he found some kind of very sick pleasure from it. This one killing that he did of a woman in her apartment, who was living with her roommate, right? He comes into the apartment. This woman ducks down. He goes behind the kitchen counter, waits for her to pop her head up, and then shoots her.
It was a very cat and mouse. I think that he felt that he was playing.
Yeah.
But then also for that one, for example, he shot. Then those two elderly women, the sisters living together.
Oh my God.
He beat them senseless. It's so different. Again, levels of aggression, levels of abuse and hurt that he will. I mean, all of them obviously with the same goal.
Right.
But just it was insane. But he never. Yeah, he declared his love for Satan and worshiping Satan. But it's never that he said, so, this is what was, I don't know if he believes that he can hear Satan or that he's getting some messages from the underworld. But
He did mention that though.
He does, but he again gives it so vaguely. In one of the clips when they're escorting him out of court, once he got arrested, was "I'll see you in Disneyland."
I'll see you in Disneyland.
What? There was not a lot of he would say "Hail Satan," okay, but there was no any type of I mean, not that you can explain it, but
He did say in his confession that he would get comfort
oh really?
out of Satan.
Oh
Satan is what gives him comfort.
yes, it's okay. He gets from that.
Yes.
What are you getting from all of the stuff that you're doing?
Because
is it him doing
these acts were his way of getting closer to Satan.
that's what I was about to say. For God, you're good, you do a good deed, you're a good person, you're this, you're that. If this was his way of, I don't know,
Yes.
going into satanic version of heaven. I mean,
Another thing that stands out for Richard Ramirez for me is, how Aileen used to get her power out of, killing these people who she thought did wrong. Ted Bundy would get his trip out of abducting women who he thought he would never be able to get in his life. With Richard Ramirez, that sense of power came from him instilling fear. There's a very specific instance where he is on the road, right? Comes in front of a car, tries to take the girl out, right? She resists. Then he pulls her out on the road, right? And then looks her in her eyes. Until the time he doesn't see fear, he doesn't shoot her.
Yeah.
He wanted to see fear in people's eyes. And there was this another, brutal murder that he did where he got into a house of an elderly woman and she resisted. She resisted him from raping her, right? So he wasn't able to rape her. And out of frustration and sheer anger, he stomped her face to kill her. There was this need of getting fear out of people. That's how he used to get that, power from these acts. And again, this crazy phenomena of women going crazy behind these people. So when he's caught, and the way he's caught is epic. I loved it. When people got involved from the streets to catch him, they were actually trying to kill him when they realized that this is the guy.
Oh, yeah, because everyone was living in pure terror.
Yeah.
Like, no one was going outside.
Yeah.
No, but I also love the two detectives that came up with the idea. Like, listen, we cannot catch the guy. Like, he's literally a weasel, a rat,
Right.
just, wiggling his way around. Okay, let's use the masses. Like, let's just put his picture everywhere. Because one of the things also with him is that, like, okay, Ted Bundy, he would hide. Aileen, also secluded area, she would hide. He did not give an effing F of anything. Like, he would kill and literally just walk down the street.
Yeah.
Did not try to hide his face. Even with the kids that he would take and then release. It's not like he was trying to hide his face. Like, I mean, up to the point that 6-year-old girl, he took to his own apartment. Like, okay, she's 6. Obviously, she cannot find it back. But again, you took her to your, like, house. That's how much he didn't really care. Because I think he felt maybe because he's worshiping Satan. Okay, Satan will protect me and no one will ever catch me. But yeah, the way they did it was then...
Brilliant.
It was beautiful.
Yes.
Like, the videos of it, footage of it was beautiful.
Yeah, so cathartic, that whole thing. He was killing, innocent people, and these masses caught him. And thank God that policeman was there.
I actually felt bad for him. Because, see, again, it's a dangerous situation for him as well, because the masses can also turn on him and be like, listen, we have been living this for months.
Yeah.
Like, we will not hurt you, but we will tie you up somewhere, and we're going haywire on this guy.
Yeah.
So I remember him giving the interview, and he's constantly, okay, I have to calm everything down. And I have to, like, get him in the car.
Yeah.
And it almost became okay, the police is not trying to catch him. At this point, it's like, we need to keep him alive. Like, the people are going to kill him.
And then they take him to the court to, he goes on a trial. And that weird shit starts happening again.
Oh, his was even weirder than Ted Bundy.
Like, random women, they call them groupies, throwing themselves at him, sending him nude pictures, messages, letters, etc., while he is in court, in jail, and fueling his ego. Like, he starts coming to court with shades on.
Oh my God.
Full on freaking suit.
Like a model.
Yeah, you made him a celebrity, a person who should be shot, a rabid dog. What do you do as soon as you see it? Shoot it, right? That's exactly what should have been done with this guy, right? Shoot him. But you make a celebrity out of him? Are you
But
serious?
I would've-
And some of these girls in those videos are saying, I don't think he did all of these things. The fuck?
I wouldn't be surprised if part of the fueling into this masses of fans that he was getting was also
Yeah.
coming from his defense team.
Could be.
Because in US you have also that public
yeah,
opinion, and then you have it's very complex their justice
and,
system.
And they play it very dirty sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah. They play
yeah.
it very dirty.
Oh yeah. Oh, you don't think his attorneys were well aware that this guy killed? Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
They all knew this, but at the
100%.
but then it's also good reputation for them. I was the attorney of, the devil, the Night Stalker. To have that, I think they were all on my resume. Ching.
But you know what? It saddens me that he didn't get the kind of punishment that he should have gotten.
He basically lived out his life.
Died from cancer. Like such a pwah, pwah, pwah moment, right? Ted got executed.
Yes.
Amazing.
But he was also for a long time
What?
death row.
Oh, he was. Yes, he was on
He
death row
just
for a very
lived
long time. Yeah,
enough
true. You're
to
right.
actually
Yes, you're
get
right.
it.
Yes, you're right.
This guy did not.
As we were researching these serial killers, these personalities, what became very apparent was, at least majority of them. We don't know much about Dennis and his childhood, but the rest of them, Aileen, Richard Ramirez, Ted Bundy, that there was some element of childhood, some kind of childhood abuse that led them to do what they did. I know you cannot put all of these scenarios, these serial killers, into one box and say, because their childhood was bad, so they did this. Circumstances and everything do play a role, but I feel there's a lot.
And there also has to be some level of mental illness.
100%. 100%. There's
Wires are
it's-
not corrected.
right. It's not just one
connected
factor.
correctly.
It's 100%. It's not just one factor. I'm not saying that that's the only factor, and that's why I was saying that I'm being very cautious about this. But there is an element of nurturing, of the way they grew up, of what they saw when they were growing up, or what they had to endure when they were growing up, is what caused some of what happened later on. And my heart goes out to everyone who suffered at the hands of these people, because when we were researching these stories, especially when it came to Richard Ramirez, the way he went through, these families, just chaos, blood, and sadness and sorrow everywhere.
I know this one woman that said that her parents, that she visits them every weekend and with the kids, and then she came, no one was picking up, and she went over to the house.
Yeah. Or that one girl who, in Ted's case, who escaped,
And then how much longer after? That same day, because he needed to get it.
yes. No, we have to be very empathetic towards
No, of course.
towards the survivors, and this is in no way us trying to glorify these people, but This is a way of understanding what happens in their, what makes them, or what makes anyone do these kind of acts, because it's not restricted to just the United States.
Of course.
Absolutely not. There are instances everywhere, all over the place, and what makes that happen is what intrigues us. I know it intrigues you. The psychology behind
for
it,
me,
right?
it's always the psychology aspect of it, because we all came from animals, yes, given, but you have centuries and centuries and millions of years of
Evolution.
and then us coming to the level that we think we are superior beings because we have conscience and we are aware and we can, I don't know, think and imagine and whatever distinguishes us from animals. And we made these rules of what society is supposed to be like and how we're supposed to act and, be kind and loving and all these things, and bad things are punishable and this. And then you have these examples that go to that level of extreme that for me is just like really, what does it take for you to pass that point of
that threshold
of, oh, I'm actually capable of
killing someone,
or
doing
physically something. Doing something to them,
right?
Like take a weapon and actually do something to them. Like we all watch it on TV as there are movies and horror movies and crime shows and whatever, but if you try to imagine yourself of in what state of mind,
I can't imagine that.
Unless it's pure self-defense that I know that my life is in jeopardy, that's a different thing.
Yes.
But if I know that what does it take for you to look at a stranger on a street or grocery store and be like, I feel like slitting your throat. That would make me feel good you know what I mean? So for me it's always that moment. And as sad as it is that these people will be remembered and have been remembered for decades, whereas their victims' names will not live in the public that long, besides in their families. But it is also something that we need to understand. And why does this happen? And again, one-time killers is a one thing, but this is a predetermined, methodical, thought through thing. Like you said, like a job or like a hobby. They sit and they think about these things.
Right.
How dark their minds have to be.
And what takes them there. It's definitely a concoction of things, right? Childhood abuse could be one. You're saying, mental illness could be another. There are a number of things that are coming together for them to act like this, and to be able to understand that brings us closer to making sure that it doesn't happen too much. But of course, the world being the world it is, right? We have these situations happening everywhere, and all we can do is try to understand, be empathetic, not just towards the people who suffered at the hands of these people, but also towards them to a certain extent, because it feels as if, especially in Aileen Wuornos' case, that she was wronged in a certain manner, which made her do what she did. So in those cases, we should be empathetic towards these people as well. And I think kindness and empathy will only lead us to, to understand people better, to act in that way that we can not just prevent these things from happening, but also maybe, take them, maybe help them go on a right path in life, right? And that's all we can hope. And I think on that note, we can wrap up for today. Yeah.
Agreed.
This was a good one. We were trying to get to this for a long time. One of many. So if our audience, appreciates this, likes this, we will continue and try to bring more of these stories from not just the US, but elsewhere in the world. And yeah, that's it. This was Mann. Thank you, baby.
Thank you.
Over and out.